Let's go to Jonathan Sacerdoti right now, a royal expert extraordinaire, very kind to help us as he's been very special, important to us this entire week. Jonathan, I'm thinking, of course, here we are a day ahead of the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attack, so that was felt around the world, obviously, particularly in Britain, and the Queen in this famous moment where, you know, she was playing our national anthem. At a time in the better part of 600 years, they never did that in the changing of the guards in Britain. But that was a particularly unique moment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And we hear a lot of talk, especially from politicians, about the so-called special relationship. But I think that when it comes to the monarchy, people often question why Britain still has a monarchy. But I think you can see just the value of it when you look at the relationship between Queen Elizabeth II and various presidents. You just see how well Britain is able to do in getting on with them. There are very few people in the world, I imagine, that a US president is as nervous to see as the monarch of Great Britain. And we saw it even with Trump, who's got quite a hard man attitude usually, but when he came to Great Britain, he was like a kid in a sweet shop.
You know, Jonathan, and the Queen never tipped her hand or talked politics at all, so you didn't know politically where she was coming from. But she did meet a lot of U.S. presidents. She did meet a lot of prime ministers who came and went, the 6 living ones at the special service for King Charles III today. Did she ever hint of, when it came to American presidents, who she particularly liked?
Well, the great thing about the Queen is that she never did really hint at very much like that. And when occasionally a little detail managed to spill out, people still don't know if it was correct or not, true or not. I think actually that's going to be a very interesting difference between her and King Charles, because she came to the throne so young that we didn't really know an awful lot about her views, her preferences, her opinions. Because she came to it so young, she was like a blank page. Now, Prince Charles, now King Charles III, is 74 years old. That's an age when most people have retired or are thinking of slowing down, not taking on such a massively responsible job. And we know so much about him. We know all about his views, all about his politics. We know about the causes that have been important to him that he's said now he will stop being an activist on. We even know quite small details of his private life, which were personal but splashed all over the press, especially during that difficult period when his marriage to Diana, the Princess of Wales, was breaking down. So I think that there's so much that is known about him. He's going to have to do this very differently. And even if he manages to keep his views quiet and on the down low, it's going to be in quite a different way, because we'll know what he thought about for decades before.
Yeah, they're already saying a number of people who are, promoting climate change and saying it's a big issue. And King Charles, you should not abandon that. You were way ahead of the curve. You could keep speaking out about it. But he won't. I can't imagine him doing so. Your thoughts?
Well, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, he promised in a quite a big TV documentary he did a few years ago on his 70th birthday on the BBC that he said he's not stupid. He's not that stupid. He said he would stop doing these things. But in a way, it doesn't matter if he stops, because he's already done the legwork. We know the causes that are important to him, and we know what his views are on many of them, whether it's from architecture, his dislike of modernist architecture, brutalist architecture, towards farming issues, things to do with the countryside, and even things to do with the environment. I think the environment's a useful example for him, because actually, rather than getting quieter about it in recent years, he's actually been more vocal, I would say. He said that he was on this as an issue decades ago before it was fashionable, and now the whole world's catching up with him. So I think in a way, actually, what we've seen is a reinvention of the role a bit, just in the same way that once there was even doubt about whether he could become king because of his personal life circumstances. Then there was doubt about whether he could marry Camilla. Well, that's changed. Then there was doubt about whether she would ever be his queen consort. All of those things have changed before he's even the monarch. He's been quite successful at changing how the modern royal family works, how the monarchy works. I think we shouldn't be too sure that he's not going to make more subtle changes like that maybe we won't notice until pointed out afterwards. So maybe he will be able to keep on with certain issues like the environment, which in a way have become so universally accepted. Of course, there are doubters about certain details to do with the environment and man-made climate change. But he's really on safe ground, I think, on that one, if he does wish to carry on a bit. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't do a bit more in that direction, even though he's meant to be keeping impartial and his views quite secret from the rest of the world.
Yeah, because when it comes to architecture, I think a lot of people would overwhelmingly agree within this cookie-cutter skyscraper approach we took. I think he one time referred to the glass building look as utterly ghastly. Maybe I don't know if he'll change that, but thank you.
He did once say that one was a carbuncle on the face of an old friend, describing an extension that was planned, I think, to the National Portrait Gallery or something. But I think those things maybe we won't be seeing as much of.
Yeah, too bad, because they were very funny. Jonathan, thank you so much. Good seeing you. One of the things I like to look at, since I follow a lot of the numbers, I'm sort of like the geek here at Fox.